Josh. This is the Den of Nerds. This is a very special live stream that I honestly didn't know if I wanted to do. My guest today convinced me to just give in to my anger and do this live stream anyways. I'm sitting down with James from the Rebel Scum podcast. James, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm back from the 6 p.m. screening of The Last Jedi where I got out, I swear, at like midnight last night. It felt so late after I got out. Nothing with the movie, I'm not saying. I'm just saying, man, what a long week it's been.
Yeah, it's been a long week. Honestly, the whole thing has been an interesting ride getting ready for the movie. You know, you and I, we're content creators. We do a lot of this. We've been doing The Last Jedi live streams. And I felt like I sort of owed it to you to do this show today because we did the worst live stream of all time yesterday. And so, or it was 2 days ago. And that was
great.
Really, yeah, that was really fun. That was really cool. A ton of people watched it anyways. Felt like taking it down. But yeah, so we've done a lot. The Last Jedi. A weird thing happened with me where kind of like right when I got into the theater, right when I'm sitting down in the crowd, it just was sort of a moment that was almost detached from all the anticipation leading up to it. I mean, did you feel the same? What was last night like for you?
Last night was kind of weird. So yesterday, early afternoon, me, Brock, who I do Rebel Scum with, and Rob, who's also on Rebel Scum, we all went to Star Wars The Last Jedi pop-up shop that opened up in Toronto where they have, some of the guards, execution troopers, and with Kylo Ren's costume, Captain Phasma. Kylo Ren's lightsaber was there. So we went there. We kind of like made a little bit of a day out of it. And then we came back, and all of a sudden we're like, well, the movie's at 6. We got to get to the theater. We had assigned seating, so it was all right. But, we wanted to get there a little bit early, see what was up. And then we walked in, and we were at it's a VIP theater here in Toronto, and it's for 19 plus. And so it's only adults in the theater. And it was weird. It was really weird. Everybody seemed excited about it. But did you see the fan experience?
I did see the fan experience, and I want to get into that in just a second here because I was incredibly disappointed with the fan experience. What was yours like, though?
We got popcorn, some trading cards, and a John Williams video. And it was weird because the John Williams video ended, Lucasfilm came up, and the movie started, and nobody in the theater reacted to anything. It was like just dead silence. And like Rob's beside me like this, like putting his hands up ready to go.
Yeah.
And I think Erin was like bracing herself to hear some clapping. And I was just stunned that it was complete silence in the theater. So it was, it didn't take away from the movie, but it was strange that people would spend that much money on a ticket and not really seem to care.
Bro, the fan experience, I'm literally, and I don't like to, get negative or anything like that, and I'm sorry, I'm looking at my phone. I'm trying to build the audience here, guys, a little bit. Welcome to everyone that's watching, by the way. You guys are amazing. Right away, where the hell are the Knights of Ren? We're going to get into that, actually, because, good question. Good freaking question. Right away, too. Obviously, this video has spoilers. You see these things up here, guys? They're trying to tell you that we're going to spoil the shit out of this movie. So if you haven't seen this movie, please go somewhere else. Come back later, watch it. It's going to be on YouTube later. It's going to be on our Facebook later. Hell, I might put this on the denofnerds.com later. So it's going to be all over. The fan experience was a super big disappointment for me, man. We didn't get free anything. That John Williams video is great. I could have watched that on YouTube. I could have made that video. It wasn't that good. You know what I mean? It was cool. I like the idea of it. But I wanted a little bit of Han Solo. Show me some footage of Han Solo. Show me a little something extra. Really treat us well as fans. The little card things that we got, which I don't know where mine are at right now. Look, those are okay. But I've been to fan events before. I've been to press screenings before. I've been to things before where they treat you really good. The crappy King Arthur movie that came out earlier this year, they gave us so much swag, which probably was because they wanted to butter us up. But they gave us so much swag for going in there. I bought 2 tickets to Justice League and got a Funko exclusive pop. So I'm sorry, Regal. You're getting an email from me later today because that was garbage. That should not have cost $35, $36. That's crazy town. For me. But anyways, let's get right in to the show. Now, guys, the way this is going to work is we're going to start. This is literally the good, the bad, and the ugly for The Last Jedi. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the good. Okay, so we're going to focus on the things that we like. Then we're going to go into the bad, and then we're going to go into the ugly. Every single point that we go over, I'm going to try to remind you to hit us up in the chat, because I'm very curious as we bring things up. Like, what happened to Snoke? I want to know what you guys think about that in the comment section below. So this is a really casual, more of a Q&A type thing. I really want to interact with a lot of you guys and kind of get a sense of how other Star Wars fans feel about this. I mean, that's kind of the whole thing, right? Like, that's what content creation is about. That's what live streams and stuff like this are about. We want to nerd out together. We're the big fans. We were the ones that saw it all yesterday. We want to know what each other thinks. So, James, I want to know, on your good list... Oh, and before we start, let's just say this. This is my overall feeling of the movie. I can sum it up like this. And, yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling. And I'll get into that a little bit, but I have a ton of mixed feelings about it. There was a lot in this movie I didn't like, more than I expected to not like. But let's focus on the good. James, what is first on your good list for The Last Jedi?
Do you see this?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm unboxing a porg.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that. That's a porg. They were the best part of the movie.
They might have been.
And that's not a slight against the rest of it. They were awesome. Every time they had those Bambi eyes looking up, I like Chewie. I was dying of laughter. At points, I think I was the only one laughing at them. I heard a couple awes around it, but I thought they were awesome. They weren't overused, in my personal opinion, and they were very different from Ewoks.
Yes.
They were creatures. You know, they reminded me of my rabbit, who is not near me right now. I would show you, but they were basically of my rabbit. It was hilarious the way that they did. I thought all of the creatures that Rian Johnson and co introduced were fantastic. The porgs, the floppy-eared things.
Porgs particularly were awesome. I want to know, guys, in the chat, let us know, what did you think about porgs? Were they a little too much? Were they on the nose? Tell us about porgs. But I'm sorry, go on.
Yeah, I loved all of the creatures, the Vulptex, crystal foxes, the flop-eared donkey things. Those were fantastic, and they were all put to use too, which I really like. Because you see the porg, you're like, well, is this just going to be in the background somewhere? Everything kind of served a purpose, which I really liked and appreciated in that front. Poe Dameron, really liked him in this. I've been saying for a while, a lot of us like, he is the Leia of this new trilogy,
right?
In character-wise, right? And now we're seeing his ascension to that role, and as soon as the movie ended, you called me and you're like, they have to recast Leia. And we'll talk about that in a bit, I imagine. But
yes.
The thing is, you have Poe now, and he's that close to being ready for that role.
Yeah.
And I think of all the characters, he had the best growth in this. Personally,
definitely. I agree with you. As far as porgs itself, in the chat, it looks like a lot of people are loving the porgs. I'll say this: I was worried going in about the porgs. They were awesome. Even like when they're squished against the thing, the whole... I thought they were handled really well. And I think some of the other humor in the film is very hit or miss. It wasn't all really solid, which is okay with humor in general. Like, you're not going to hit on everything. But I felt like the porgs were particularly good. That scene where Chewbacca's like going to eat the one. How can you not love that scene? Like, that scene's incredible. So yeah, I agree with you on that. I want to kind of move. We got a lot to go through in here, so I'm going to try to keep this a little snappy. The good for me, number one good thing for me, Luke Skywalker's power. The power they show from Luke Skywalker. So let us know in the chat, guys, what did you think about Luke Skywalker's power? Not necessarily his end, but what they show of his power. And what I mean, there's a couple of different things that jump out to me. Number one, when he gets pushed back by her and he sort of like catches himself with the Force, I thought that was incredible. When he breaks apart that building, when he sees them having that Force Skype call where they're touching hands, and he's like, no! And he just, bam, like blows up. I was like, damn, that's crazy. Obviously, at the end, on Canto Bight, can we just talk about how ridiculously strong this dude is with the Force? I was telling you before we went on air, he materialized the dice from the Falcon in a way that not only Leia, but Ben Solo could literally pick them up. he materialized something from the Force and projected himself from, like, what, all the way across the galaxy for all we know? So, for me, as a huge Luke Skywalker fan, you know, like, one of my favorite heroes of all time, to see his prowess, not with a saber, because we didn't really get that, but with the Force, was super cool. What do you think about that? I'm going to check the chat here.
I think the one thing that was really cool is, you know, you had the Ignite the Green going, and I think fan service, we all kind of wanted to see another Luke Skywalker fight, but really his battle was with Darth Vader, and so I'm okay with that being his last real true lightsaber battle. The last time we see that happen is with Darth Vader. I'm okay with that. The power at the end, though, was we talked about it before we came on. That's the Force now. You know, the Force is, but that's a super powerful Force. And when he first showed up, I was like, oh, is he a hologram? That was my first reaction, right? Because I was like, he looks exactly how he looked during the Ben Solo stuff. And of course, he would present himself to Ben Solo as the last time Ben Solo would know what he looked like, right? So it made complete sense. Yeah, I was totally on board for that stuff. Because when he turned on the lightsaber, it totally flipped to me when I was like, oh, he has a broken lightsaber. That's weird, because we just watched that thing get destroyed.
Yes, I agree with that. There was a lot of weird stuff with that scene. I love how Poe, like, when you go back and watch it, I think what's cool about the movie is it's made to be rewatched. I truly believe that, which is why I almost didn't do this show, because I was like, James, no, I can't. I got to see it again. Because I think it's designed to be that way. It's an episodic thing that they know people are going to dissect a lot of, right? But as soon as he had the blue lightsaber, I was like, that's weird. That was just, you know what I mean? Like, that's weird. Maybe he had another one. I mean, his hair's dyed, his hair's cut. Everything looks different but familiar. And yet, when he walks in, you're so happy to see the hero arrive that you sort of allow that belief to be sort of taken away. It looks like a lot of people liked what he did as far as how powerful he was. But, you know, some people liked his ending. Some people didn't. There's a lot of comments in here, guys. Just for the flow of the show, what's going to happen is everything we bring up, I want to know what you think about it. If you can keep the answers a little bit shorter, just so I can get a consensus of it, and I'll try to get to your questions at the end. James, what's your second good thing? We're going over the good, the bad, and the ugly. What's your number 2 on the good?
Yo, BB-8, pull it up, holla at me. You know, when he was in the ATST or whatever version of that was, it was almost like, yep. Why has this not been done before by a droid? You know what I mean? Like,
oh god.
Well, Chewie does it though in Return of the Jedi, right? Yeah. Like, doesn't it make more sense for a droid to take? He didn't have to take over it that way, but you know what I mean. I like BB-8. I like Benicio del Toro a lot. I really did. I kind of wanted more of him.
Yeah.
Because I was really like...
Well, let's focus on the BB-8. So I want to know, in the comment section, guys, what did you think about BB-8? I personally was not down with that scene where he took the AT-ST. I was like, this is a little ridiculous. Now, here's the thing. I'm willing to forgive a lot of those moments because it's Star Wars, it's for kids. I mean, it reminded me of the moment in Revenge of the Sith where R2 is flying around and fighting those other droids and stuff like that. Like, it's pretty wacky, you know what I mean? It's for kids.
And like Ewoks too, right? It was up there with those on that level.
It definitely was. I also, just on a complete side note, thought it was really funny that that shot with Phasma and Finn clashing that we've seen a million times in the trailers. That BB-8's in the background piloting an AT-ST. That's pretty crazy. I did not like that scene in particular. However, I did think it was interesting. You know, it's funny, you bring up Benicio del Toro's character, which, you know, we'll just refer to him as DJ, I guess, which is for Don't Join, by the way. Broke that on the Den of Nerds YouTube channel months ago. Go subscribe. Anyway.
I like that he did not have a name, and he didn't need a name, and it did not matter to anything. It's Star Wars.
You know what's funny, though? I had, like, given up completely on the Ezra thing, and then I see him, and I'm like, he kind of looks like Ezra. What's up with those cuts on his face? He's Ezra! But, anyway... as far as BB-8 is concerned, let's see here. I think I prefer BB-9, some people said.
Oh, BB-9 was cool. I did like him a lot.
Abe Paulo, look, we're getting to Snoke, brother. We're on the good parts now. Really relax. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're going over the good right now.
Andy Serkis was great, though. I thought Andy Serkis was great in this movie.
He was. All right, let me go into my second good here. Let's see here. Oh, Reylo, and more specifically, their Force connection. I think, okay... Here's the thing. it's bold. We sort of knew it was going to happen. I mean, for God's sakes, we did the worst live stream of all time talking about it, which is very cool. But the way they did it, with them having the shared force visions, I thought that was such an interesting framing device for the film. I really, really liked it, particularly the way that it builds to what I think is one of the most important scenes in the entire movie, when Rey goes into her Dagobah cave, does the snap thing in the Hall of Mirrors, right? And then she realizes it's just her, and then she's saying to Ben Solo, like, as a confidant, I've never felt more alone. And he's like, you're not alone. And like that just get over it. It's a love connection. It's something that's going on there between them with this shared kind of a feeling. It's that love thing. Who knows if it'll come to fruition now, because, you know, he's technically the Emperor, and she's the only Jedi, right? A lot to get into with that. But I liked the Rey-Kylo connection. Let us know in the comment section, guys. What did you think of the Rey and Kylo connection? I really want to know what the fans think. But James, what did you think of it?
I loved it. I still think he has a great head of hair. I really liked their connection. It was different from what we've seen before, and they were able to actually touch each other. And then when Luke saw them and blew up the little hut, that was completely awesome. They are connected. Somebody did brought up in the chat. Can I mention that? I can't remember who it is. Was it in the chat, or was it? No, never mind. It was a comment on our review thing. But they knew, Kylo knows of Rey in The Force Awakens, and that is something that is not touched on in this whatsoever. It's almost like he just met her at the end. Like, why would you? Like, the threading of it all doesn't make sense. But anyway, I really, really liked what they did with those two characters, how they brought them together, and how for a split second they wanted you to believe that they're together now. They are going to be heroes or whatever at this point, and then Kylo does the Skywalker thing to do, and he's like, no, I know what's best for the galaxy. Let's let that all die, and we will start a new galaxy. Because he is the Skywalker lineage officially. Unless they pull a twist on us, which a few people still believe. But that just proved like he is a Skywalker. That is a Skywalker mentality, and I loved every second of that. That was something that while we were talking on our most amazing live stream that we did a couple of days ago, that was something that I thought of. I'm like, Kylo is going to ask Rey to join him. And I when the scene was happening, Aaron was beside me, and I'm like grabbing her. I'm like, just pay attention.
yeah, for sure.
She said, you broke my hand.
I want to say something. Scotty Hawk, by the way, what's up, Scotty? He said something very interesting. He said that was fabricated by Snoke. So here's the thing about that. And Scotty, just so you know, brother, this is the type of stuff that we're going to do in-depth YouTube videos about, because, like, is it fabricated by Snoke? Yes. But it happens again at the end of the movie after Snoke is dead. I don't think that it was completely created by Snoke. I think that connection existed, and he sort of fostered it. But that connection existed. Remember what Snoke says? I knew your equal in the light would show up, right? He's known this. The darkness rises, the light to meet it. This is something that he realizes about the Force. Super wise guy, you know, he's two halves now. But he was a super wise guy and knew some cool stuff. So I guess in general, I see a lot of people saying they like it. Reylo, they don't necessarily think it was necessary. I think it's the most necessary thing to the plot. And by the way, if you watch a video, did you see what that Reylo video did yesterday for me?
You know what? We did the review video.
Bro, I put that thing out on, like, in the morning. It's like, it did like 4,000 views in a day. Like, it was crazy.
Because I put ours up, but I fell asleep while it was uploading. Because it took forever. And when I woke up, I just kind of went on and I was like, Reylo. I'm like, damn, I should have called my review Reylo.
Well, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I might have just got lucky with the metadata there, but what I saw in that was that it was a thing that people talk. But anyways, in that video, I break down, which you guys should all go check out, I break down exactly why the Reylo-Kylo relationship makes sense, the mythological fairy tale, the death and the maiden trope, a lot of ancient perennial storytelling stuff as to why that makes sense. So go check that video out. What is, Sir James, your last good thing about The Last Jedi, the thing you liked? And then
there's a lot more that I do like, but you know what? I'm going to say I actually liked Holdo I really liked Holdo. When she showed up, I was like, typical. But then she became a character that was still typical, but I was like, no, I can get on board with that because I like that she was in cahoots with Leia through the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like they obviously formulated a plan before anything happened to Leia. It was almost like, if anything happens to me, you're next in line. This is our game plan. Respect, like, and
Yeah.
Holdo's like, yep. But going on, you don't know that, and it was so nice. It was just good. I just like that she turned, because we were speculating, is she a bad guy? Is she this? And then she ends up turning, but in a way that was unique to everything,
Right.
and was fun to watch at the end. And then she obviously, her death was awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I heard that
If
was one of the
she's
coolest
dead.
scenes in the movie. Guys, what did you think about Holdo? I want to know, what do you think about the character? Let us know. We're trying to, if you're just joining the stream, this is what we're doing, breaking down the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I really want to know what you guys think. So everything we talk about is opened up to you. I try to get a consensus in the chat. How do people feel about Holdo? So let us know in the chat. I'll talk about my feelings about Holdo briefly. I gotta be honest, I'm not super down with that character. I didn't really like. It feels like a contrivance of the plot, and I also think that people that didn't read Bloodline have like no idea why this character is the way that she is, and they don't get a good sense of that character.
She's not in. She's in the Leia book,
Uh,
not Bloodline. I haven't read the Leia
I
book.
actually believe she's in both,
I don't
but
think she's
maybe.
in Bloodline.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm mixing those up. But if you don't know about the character, I feel like it's sort of really hard to get attached to her, and I feel like she's really just a placeholder, like, hero. I don't know. I wasn't exactly super down with the Holdo thing. They're all trying to tell Poe a very valuable lesson here, and yet I never feel like Poe really fully understands that, like, the dire situation, all the people that just died, that's pretty much his fault. You know what I mean? So I felt like that string of the plot was a little bit weak. Holdo's sacrifice scene, though, amazing. Like, visually ridiculous. And overall, she's a good character. I just felt like she was sort of shortchanged. This movie moves like boom, 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 boom. And, there's not a lot of time for some of these plot lines to breathe. But we'll go over that more when we get into the ugliness of it. Chris says she was questionable at first, kind of redeemed herself at the end. At first, I thought she was going to betray after pulling Poe. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on here in the chat. Thank you guys so much for chiming in there. By the way, Brian Hawkins, awesome dude, everybody. He's done a sweet article which we're going to put on denofnerds.com. It's sort of like a fiction piece where he's talking about building his own lightsaber, and I want to continue that series on the denofnerds.com. So what's up, Brian? Okay, let's go into my last good. And this might cause some friction out there in the chat, but here's the thing. I really like the fact that Kylo Ren is now Supreme Leader. I'm not happy about the way Snoke went out. I'll just mention that because I feel like those are two separate things, the vehicle and the outcome. The vehicle, I thought, we'll talk about the vehicle. The outcome, the fact that Kylo is now Supreme Leader, as a Kylo Ren fanboy, licking my chops, excited for what is to come. I also personally believe that when Luke Skywalker was sensing his future, when he was looking at his future, he saw what's going to happen now that Kylo Ren's in charge. I think that it was like that if Hitler was your nephew thing, he probably should have just killed him. You know what I mean? Is what we'll end up learning as we go on. But I want to know in the chat, guys, what do you guys think about the fact that Kylo Ren is now Supreme Leader? Let us know in the chat. We'll address it. James, what do you think about Supreme Leader Ren?
I think we talked about this on, which one are we talking about? On the Snoke one? On one of the videos. Yes, 100% yes. And I want him to be successful at the end of episode 9. And I want 10, 11, and 12 for him to be the big, big bad. And then Rey and whoever else could be the heroes of that one and blah, 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 blah. But I want Kylo Ren to stay up there as Supreme Leader Ren. Bring it.
Oh, my God, dude. Aowen McLean just put one of the coolest things in there. He said, the Renperer. Which, dude, you gotta hashtag that, brother. That is cool. Good work. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, look, some people are saying they really like it. He's on his way to being the new Vader. Kylo for Emperor. Scotty loves it. Yeah, his equal has risen. A lot of good stuff out there. So it seems like people do agree that that's good. All right, let's get into the bad. James, hit me with the first of the bad for you.
Okay. This isn't even for plot or anything, but I thought the beginning of the movie had some pacing problems. Am I allowed to talk about the pacing problems?
Hell yeah.
I talk about it in my review. I think it's 2.5 hours, and the beginning of it was kind of like, it was like, where's Finn? Cut to Finn waking up. Finn wakes up. He meets Poe. Where's Rey? Rey wakes up, and it was just like boom, 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 boom. And it was like, and this had the least amount of wipes of all the Star Wars films. And I feel like if they would have added like 5 of them and then maybe 11 seconds, 5 seconds of just an establishing shot,
right?
They would have. It's almost like they need to listen to Luke Skywalker now and just breathe. Just let it breathe. Because we didn't spend enough time at the beginning of the movie with the characters. It was like we got Poe, and then we got Finn, and then we got Rey, and then we got this, and it was like, okay, just let me settle in, let me sit down I want to see what's going on the island for a second. It was like Luke's fishing, Luke's milking, and it's like, just relax for a little bit.
Right.
I know it's 2.5 hours, just take your time, let me get adjusted. Anyways, that was my biggest thing with it. But and I said this yesterday too. That was one of my complaints for Rogue One, and now a year later, Rogue One is one of my favorite Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
And I don't have that problem at the beginning, but that's just how I feel. Like watching it, I was like, get adjusted, and it was not getting adjusted. And that could be the editor in me watching it too, but like,
yeah,
I'm
it
just
seems like a
just
lot of people are agreeing with you in the chat. By the way, guys, let us know in the chat, what do you think about the pacing issues? I know this sounds like a broken record, but and people are kind of popping in and out, so I want people to know. We're going over the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we want to know what you think about every point. So right now we're talking about the pacing. What do you think about the pacing? A lot of people agree with you, saying it's fast. The movie should have been longer. Yeah, the pacing of the movie, they try to accomplish a lot. I'll say this. My answer to the pacing thing is, it's not on my list at all, whether good or bad. It just feels okay.
It was mostly the beginning for me,
Sure.
just let it breathe a little. But.
Sure, and I agree with you. I will say this. I don't know if I've been more excited for a novelization of a movie ever. Because the novelization, which, by the way, we're not even getting now. This is what I really find weird, is that there's something going on, like, with all this stuff. Because they're not even releasing the novelization until, what, mid-January?
No, I think it's March or April.
Yeah, like, they are taking their sweet time with that because they know people are going to freaking pine over that. Lucasfilm's getting a little smart. They realize that people like us are going to pick that thing apart and then theorize it and then make a ton of videos about it. So it's very, very interesting. The pacing, to me, didn't bother me. It wasn't something I was impressed by. It wasn't something that I felt was a weakness in any part of the movie. I think that'll come more into a second viewing, a third viewing for me, because I was so just like, this is it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is it. We're getting it right now. This is all that's happening. So I'm going to go... Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The thing that, like, even J.J. Abrams, when he did it, when you first meet Rey, it cuts right to Rey. But then he has that big establishing shot of the Star Destroyer. You see her swing and then her theme, and it's slow in a sense, where it gives you that moment to appreciate and realize where you are. Right. Whereas this one, those moments, they were there later on, but at the beginning it was like,
Yep.
Like it was just, and that was, look, I mean, this is a weird thing to talk about. This is film school stuff, so let's go on to your bets.
A lot of people are saying that 90% of the movie taking place in 18 hours of fuel loss. Tim Martz, what's up, brother? Appreciate the comment. Yeah, people are just agreeing with you. So that's, you're not alone in that. You're not crazy.
Thanks, guys.
The Canadian air hasn't got to you yet. Okay,
it's that damn Buffalo air.
Yeah. Okay, buddy. Okay, so the bad for me. The bad is Canto Bight. Canto Bight, to me, was a very weird part of this movie. I didn't hate it, but it felt so out of place that, like, if you're sitting there trying to edit this film and you're trying to shove all this stuff in there, I just can't possibly see how that isn't one of the first things to go. And I believe one of the reasons is because Ryan was so attached to, like, his cantina, his version of the cantina, his new creatures, all the product placement or whatever, everything that he had put into that part of the movie, that he was so blinded by that he didn't realize that he should have cut that completely out. First of all, the fact that they leave the ship and go have a whole nother adventure while these people are still just flying away from the Star Destroyer, that's just kind of whack. Like, I don't like it. Now, I'm not saying, like, some people came in and were like, okay, the CGI looks terrible in Canto Bight. It felt like Harry Potter. I don't have a problem with it contextually. I enjoyed it, but as far as for the film, I felt like it was a disservice to the plot. So let us know in the chat, guys. What are your thoughts on Canto Bight? I'm gonna go through them and try to read some cool ones. But James, what did you think of Canto Bight?
Okay, this is a tough one because I really liked Canto Bight, but I liked it obviously the way Ryan Johnson liked it. However, one of the complaints I'm reading on the comments for the review that I did yesterday with Brock is people are like, Finn's storyline lacked. And my sister could not stand this movie, but she loved Force Awakens, said Finn wasn't in it enough. And the thing is, I guess they needed that storyline for some stuff, and they needed Finn to do something, and I guess that's where it all kind of ties together.
Right.
But the thing is, you have a 2.5-hour movie, and from my point of view, like I just said, with the pacing issues, not to harken back to that, but it's almost like if you're in the editing room and you say, we need to make this bit a little bit longer, what can we remove? That is the obvious thing to remove.
That's the obvious cut. And you know what?
It's the obvious cut.
I want to just say again, Iowan McLean, Ian. And I hope I'm saying your name correctly, brother.
Ian. It's Ian.
Ian? Okay.
Ian.
Us Americans, bro, we don't know anything. So I would have rather seen more Kylo's training and less Canto Bight. Yes, that 100% more Kylo Ren's training, less Canto Bight would have been great for the film. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, a lot of people. Look, Christopher Richard says Canto Bight was needed to highlight who wins for more and who. Yeah, but see, to me, like, and I get what you're saying there, Christopher, but to me that feels like sort of an obligatory moral statement. You know what I mean? Which, like, by the way, that's not Star Wars. Like, Star Wars is here's good, here's bad. And to even make a statement like that in the movie, to me, like, I can get behind sort of like the new age morality and different things like that. Because personally, like, I'm a utilitarian. I believe in the greater good, and I believe of what that means. But Star Wars, that's not what George was trying to do. George was like, you're either on the path to goodness or on the path to oblivion. There's no in between. So, I don't know. That's just like a little bit fanboyish thing to me. But I really did not like Canto Bight in the film. Like, it's fine, and those creatures were dope. That shot with them riding and the moon behind them on the beach was beautiful. There's a lot of cool stuff in there, but just for the pacing, I thought it was whack. Hit me with your second bad thing, Mr. James.
My second bad thing. I had this under. You know what? The Leia flying thing. I'm so torn on that as a whole right now. I had that in under ugly. I'm gonna move it up to bad because it does. Like when I watched it, I'm like, yeah, I guess this is gonna happen. I mean, Rey knew the Force because Kylo went in her mind. I guess I have to accept everything now.
Yeah.
But it was like, you'll watch it and you're like, okay, they need Leia to get injured. Fine, but why couldn't she just have been in this place that got shot up and then they found her on the ship? Why did she have to like? We all know she's Luke's sister and she has Force abilities. That we need to see her fly through space.
Yeah.
It's a moment where you're kind of like, it might be a moment that in a year I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But right now I'm just like, my initial thought is just, I don't know. I don't know.
My initial reaction is, I hate that scene. I hate it. I passionately hate that scene. But here's the thing. The more I think about it, the more I'm sort of making peace with it.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot of stuff like people have talked about. I've talked to a lot of people about it. Sort of like, you know, it's Carrie. Like, we always knew she had the Force. She never used the Force. There's one thing. Here's what I would say. There's one thing that could have made that scene not only work, but be, like, way better and move the characters forward. If Ben Solo, because here's the thing. When she senses her son within the Force, that's what sort of starts this whole scene where she starts to get quiet. You see her and Ben doing it. By the way, Ben, his only light side moment in the movie, not killing his mom in that moment, right? I mean, he straight up didn't kill her. But to elevate that scene, because it feels like it wisps away, he should have been the thing that reached out to her hand to pull her back in. I'm not saying she couldn't have done some of that with the Force herself, but if Kylo is helping her get back onto the ship, it takes on the scene elevates. It takes on a whole new meaning. Instead of this Deus Ex Machina, like literally, that's the definition of Deus Ex Machina. She's like the hand of God in that moment, pulling herself out of death. On top of that, here's my big thing. I'm surprised you have this in your bad because it's in my ugly thing. So I'll go over it again when we go into the uglies.
It was in my ugly, but I've just moved it up to bad because I know it's in your ugly, so let's talk about it twice.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We're talking about this many times over years. Over years we'll be talking about that. But yeah, I don't know. Let's save it a little more. A lot of people in the chat seem to agree. Where was Star-Lord to save Leia? Didn't it? That's an awesome. Greg says that. That's hilarious because that makes a lot of sense. Like it felt Guardians. You know what I mean? Yeah, a lot of people are agreeing that the Kylo thing would be cool. No CGI Leia in 9. Tyler Poplo says, yeah, we'll talk about Leia at the end of the show because we're going to talk about what I think they're going to do in 9. Let's go into my second bad, and this would be Rey's explanation. Okay? So I want to be specific here. I like the Rey character, but a lot of people got on Rey's case saying that she's a Mary Sue in Episode 7. And I said, you can't make that statement until you know more about the character. Everything that we learned in this film make me believe that, yeah, she might be a Mary Sue. It makes zero sense. Some of the stuff that she pulled off in The Force Awakens and the stuff she pulls off in this movie, it makes zero sense. She has 3 conversations with Luke Skywalker about the Force, and she can do some of the things that she can do. Now, unless they explain that in the next movie, I'm still going to withhold a little bit here, right? Because something to do with Kylo could be this thing, right? It could be what's happening with her and Kylo. Perhaps she's gaining some of his power through their love connection or something like that. But I gotta say, what they explained about Rey, and it's not just that her parents are no one. I don't care that her parents are no one. That's fine. We've talked about that plenty. It's just, those videos don't get a lot of views on YouTube, so I don't get known for the video where, her parents are no one. But the general explanation for her prowess within the Force, I found super disappointing. Let us know in the chat, guys. What do you think about the explanation for Rey's power? And James, I want to know. What do you think?
First, shout out to Marsha for watching right now. Yeah, totally disappointing. I don't care that her parents are nobodies. Although a few people are coming to me saying that they are 100% convinced that she's a Solo still. So we have that one to look forward to in the future. But I just, my whole thing is I hate when she uses the Force trick in the Force Awakens. I absolutely hate that because there's no reason why she should know. And I know, Kylo went in her mind and blah, blah. No, that is dumb. Stop it. That is an excuse to get her to use a Force trick because she needs to get out of a situation.
Right.
No one has ever exposed her to the Force that we know of. And you can tell me any story you want that, she learned it because on Jakku they have myths and Luke Skywalker is a myth. No, that doesn't exist in the movies. There's nothing to tell me that.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that she knows who Luke is, but that doesn't mean she knows what Luke does. And Luke pretty much says, you know that Jedi can lift rocks, but you don't know how they lift rocks.
Right.
So none of that makes sense. And then in this movie, we're like, okay, well, Luke's not going to want to train her. Then he's going to reluctantly train her. And when he trains her, he doesn't even train her to use the Force like Obi-Wan did to him. So there's no moment where you ever understand how she can use it. And now with Luke being gone, unless he comes back as a Force ghost, which is a complete possibility,
right?
How is she going to learn how to do anything? So now you're just going to have a character, and I'm not going to call her Mary Sue because I don't want to get to that. But how you're going to have this character now who, and this is what I say, Lucasfilm Story Group needs Han Solo to tell them that's not how the Force works. Because somebody needs to tell somebody how the Force works in everything.
Right.
And there's nobody left to do that. So now you have a character who's just going to be able to defeat everybody because they need her to.
Right. And here's what's interesting. So a lot of people agree in the chat. Brian, my good friend Brian Hawkins, says that she's like an anomaly, just like Anakin. And the explanation is, what Snoke kind of said, that his equal in the light would be a peer. She's sort of a creation of the Force. And that may well be the case. That could be an explanation. Here's my problem with that. Anakin is a virgin birth. He's Force Jesus. That's why he's able to do all of that stuff. And the perfect explanation for why someone who has potential in the Force without training would do next to nothing is actually Leia up until her Jesus moment in this movie. She doesn't do anything with the Force, and she's a Skywalker. She is like the seed of Jesus. She's the Force Jesus like child, and yet never uses the Force in any kind of a capacity. So the explanation for Rey doing all that, it still doesn't exist. And until we get it in either ancillary materials or in the episode 9, I'm gonna have to agree with the Mary Sue people. Do I like using that verbiage? No, but that's what's happening. There's no explanation for it whatsoever.
Do you know? Sorry, do you know what I don't understand is that is an entertaining plot. Having someone trained in the Force is entertaining. Like, there's nothing about it that I'm like, I don't want to watch that.
That's what we know. That's what we want to know and see. I agree.
Yeah. So I don't. Whatever.
Yeah. No. I totally.
Not my movie.
I totally agree. Yeah. Hashtag not my Star Wars.
I like how mad that we both got. It's like we're gonna spend hundreds of dollars on this film.
Oh my god! I spent like hundreds of dollars yesterday. You know what I mean?
I know.
I want to just real quick shout out to you. Hang on one second. Let me lean back. Dude, look at this sick hat that my local comic book shop, the general manager, Rob, really good friend, just hands this to me and gives me this thing to wear. And I rock this thing with my Chewbacca onesie. Oh, man, I rocked that with my Chewbacca onesie. And, yeah, it was hot to trot. But anyways, yeah, a lot of people seem to agree with us in the chat about Rey. It's Star Wars. It's okay. I can let some of that go. But I'm just telling you, to me, missed opportunity, bad part of the story. Let's go to your third bad in the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Wait, I thought that was my last bad.
Is it your last bad? Did you do 2 or 3?
I don't know. I did pacing. I don't know. How many I did? I liked the movie a lot. I should say that I actually liked it quite a bit. I don't know what else to put in the bad.
I gotta be honest with you. I liked the movie. It's Star Wars. It's amazing. Here's what I'll say. Let's break for just a second to make this statement. I'm incredibly happy that the Last Jedi that exists is the Last Jedi that exists. I think it is exactly what we needed to propel the story into new interesting places, to build the canon, to build towards 20 more years of these stories. But as a fan, I did not walk out with the same feelings that I did in The Force Awakens. I did not have those same feelings, and I'm willing to let my personal fanboy enjoyment sort of burn on the pyre of what is needed to happen for good Star Wars in the future. But I cannot tell you that I really enjoyed the film. I don't know. I honestly am so conflicted about it that I need to see it several more times before I can really get a vibe on it. The closest thing that's ever happened to me for films with this before was Guardians of the Galaxy 1. When that movie came out, I didn't like it very much at all the first time I saw it. Now, it's one of my favorites. I think it's a perfect movie. It just was so weird and different compared to my expectations that I think I had to get over that by viewing it again and seeing it for what it really was. So let's just jump into the ugly, man. Let's go right into the ugly. And I apologize, guys, because this is where the haterade turns on, because these are some things that I did not like about the film. James, let's start with your number one ugly.
I'm going to start weak on the ugly, so we can work our way up to what I think you want to work your way up to. I'm going to start with the Resistance was invincible at times. It was the underdog prevailed almost too easily. Finn took out Phasma, and I never got worried. I was never worried. Rose should have died. Never really it was almost like a Marvel film where you're like, everyone's going to survive. I don't need to worry about that. This one, I was like, well, I want a little bit of danger going on. I want to know that not everything's going to be okay for our heroes. But it almost seemed like no matter what obstacle was thrown at them, they would overcome it. Like Leia's in a coma, and then all of a sudden, 2 hours later, she wakes up. She goes, hey, let's go. We got to go. I'm going to put on my Vader-esque wardrobe, and we're going to hang out in a bunker. I'm like, shouldn't she be carried off by somebody? So it felt like
the stakes, the lack of stakes.
Yeah, exactly.
So let us know in the comment section, what did you guys think about the lack of stakes in the movie? We're not talking about pork steaks. We're talking about the stakes of our characters. Were you ever afraid of? And here's what I'll say. I agree with you a lot about that. However, the very beginning of the movie where Rose's sister dies, that was intense, dude, and super dark.
Yes. Yeah.
In the movie, that's what's interesting about the film. It has a way that it could have gone that would have been incredibly dark. What if Leia actually died in that opening scene? You know what I mean? Like, what if you start to really go down this line and make all those decisions, like choose your adventure and you choose the ugly side of it? It could have been really, really dark. There were some moments that I was surprised. The Leia moment where she lived through that, I was like, man, that's pretty shocking. Even the moment where Kylo is tempting Rey, I thought she was going to take his hand. I really was, so there was some stuff that threw me off. Overall, I agree with you that the lack of stakes were there, but for me personally, that was not something I really had a problem with. It sort of feels par for the course. Yeah, so I don't know. That didn't really get me at all.
It's just, like Han Solo's frozen in carbonite. It just, nothing ever felt like, it was always like, yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if it's ugly, but it's not pretty.
I was surprised when Finn didn't die. I was really surprised by that.
I wasn't, because of the fact that because of how he ends in The Force Awakens, you can't kill him now because he just survived death. So it's almost like you read Aftermath, Nora Wexley, where it's like she almost died. You just kill somebody, and if they don't die, don't play around like that again. Just he has to survive until the next one at least.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, I've got a couple interesting things I want to address the chat. Ahmed, I'll address the Knights of Ren, brother. You've been hanging tough for us for a long time, so I'll get to the Knights of Ren question. Here's my explanation for the Knights of Ren. By the way, I think they're going to play a major role in 9. If for no other reason than JJ said, they're a JJ Abrams invention, and they asked him if he would ever do a Star Wars film. Again, what would he want to do? He wants to do the Knights of Ren. That's the movie he wants to do. So put 2 and 2 together here. He's writing, directing 9 with Terrio. The Knights of Ren are going to be in Episode 9. Here's why they were not in Episode 8. The Knights of Ren, I don't believe, are a sect that was naturally within the First Order. I think there was something that Kylo Ren sort of started and brings into the First Order under his tutelage. Because remember when Luke says in this movie, he took a handful of my students and slaughtered the rest. That handful of students, you have to imagine that that's the Knights of Ren, okay? And what I think is going on is that they are all out on missions. You got to remember, this movie's super contained. It's all within that 18-hour period of the ship and also surrounding areas and galaxies and then Octu. But we don't see what's going on all around the galaxy, but you can imagine that the ruthlessness and the militancy of the First Order is all over the place. So I assume the Knights of Ren are out conducting business much like the Jedi were in the Clone Wars. They're all sort of being generals out there for separate missions. So they definitely exist, and I believe they will play a role in Episode 9. Okay, so
absolutely,
yeah, I definitely think that's a plot point we'll get wrapped up on. But I wanted to just address that because he'd been hanging in for that question. So the ugly. I'm gonna sort of talk about the Leia scene for a second as well, but then I'll sort of tie it into the second part because we've already talked about Leia. Yeah, I don't like that Deus Ex Machina scene. I also just, we heard all these things about how Rian Johnson got this terrific performance out of Leia and everything like that. I didn't see it. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't see that performance in there, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to her estate or her memories, but I didn't see it. And I felt as though a lot of her being in the movie was just because it's like, okay, well, we need Princess Leia to be in the movie. And, taking her out for a long period of time, it just, there's a lot of contrivances and sort of confusing things with Leia to me. However, just to end on sort of a good note about it, the scene she has with Luke at the very end of the movie was awesome. So happy as a fan that moment exists because we never got the big 3 together in this new trilogy, and so at least we got Luke and Leia together, and at least we got Leia and Han together. Very interesting stuff. Anything you want to say about that Leia scene again before we move on?
No, I think we've covered it. We covered it. I think it's something that I think over time we might not even think of when we watch it, but right now it's because it's jarring in a way,
Right.
Like, where'd that come from? I mean, we know where it comes from, but it's like, she's in space.
Yeah, I agree with that. Hey, everybody, that hang in, because after the ugly, we're gonna go back to the good stuff. So relax. We'll sandwich affect this. I'm not trying to get on the haterade. Okay, so check this out. The ugly for me, and honestly, I don't necessarily feel this way, but I just know that it's out there in the community, so we got to talk about it. The humor in the movie. I was not a fan of Luke hucking his lightsaber over his shoulder. I was not a fan of a lot of the jokes that happen in the movie. The Poe joke at the very beginning where he's holding on the transmission and stuff, wasn't a fan. Wasn't a fan of that. So I want to know, let us know in the chat, what did you think about the comedy in the film, guys? I want to get some good comments to read on here. And James, take it away. What did you think about the humor? Oh no. Did we lose James? Uh-oh. I think he froze on us. So hopefully he'll pop back in a second here, guys. But I'll just go into some of the comments while he's frozen up here. Love the scene with Luke. Thought it was the strongest acting move for both Carrie and Mark. That's Jen. I agree with you, Jen. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that the ability for them to have a good moment like that was really, really cool. Jen completely disagrees with me about the humor. And she really, really liked the humor, is what she said. Let's see here. Some of the comedy was misplaced and didn't work. Other parts were great. I can sort of get behind that. You know, the truth is, I didn't hate the comedy. It just felt very peripheral to me. It was just like this part of Star Wars that, like, we all sort of know exists, and we're just like, okay. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you sort of like float it away by like an irritating fly. It's just kind of like, okay, well, wasn't super down with all that. Okay, we got James back in here, everybody.
I'm back. Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Supposed to be repaired, but apparently
it's the Canadian internet, bro. But so let's talk about the humor. What did you think about the humor?
Yeah. So I don't know how much I said before it got cut off, but
we didn't hear anything actually. Sorry.
Okay. So what you said about Poe at the very beginning, I liked it from a Poe standpoint. For the most part, I did not like it from the Huck standpoint. I know that he's like the spoiled brat and all that stuff, but it was almost like he's in a seat of power for the bad guys. He's not going to stand for that. Shoot the thing out of the sky, right. That's just how it worked. So and it kept going. It was one of those just like, okay, all right, okay, oh, they're still doing this. Just shoot him out of the sky, blow him away. That's what should happen. So,
right.
But like I said, like the Porgs nailed it. I liked a bunch of the BB-8 stuff. BB-8's a character though that I'm like, he's not R2, and I know they want him to be R2, but he's not R2. The Porg stuff I really liked. The caretaker stuff I liked for the humor wise. But yeah, I felt some of the jokes were just too much. But when and this was my issue. I was saying to somebody earlier, I'm like, when we see Luke on the island and he's doing all of his mundane day-to-day stuff, I almost feel like if they would have condensed that a little bit and taken it just a little bit more seriously, the whole Rey storyline, even if it's the exact same, would have played out differently because Luke, the character of Luke, we would have taken a little more seriously. Like he starts he doesn't just throw it away. He does it in a comedic toss, like a Roger Rabbit kind of like boink, Mm-hmm. So it's like you have that, and you're like, well, how do I take Luke seriously now? And this is a gripe. I don't really care, but it was like that's the one thing where I'm like, if you would have just shortened that stuff with Luke on the island, but slowed it down at the same time, I think it would have had more impact. It would have been less funny. But you save the humor because you have your Porgs and you have
there's
BB-8.
Plenty of humor, even if you cut out some of those jokes. A lot of people are agreeing in the chat. Some people really like it. Some people think it's not. What did you think about the moment? Hank Jan brings this up, the moment where she says, "Can you put a shirt on?" or something like that, where she's seeing him without a shirt on. What did you think about that moment in particular?
It was weird. It was weird. I don't know. And like,
it was kind of whack, but like it didn't take me out of it necessarily.
Yeah.
Like I
felt like a Joss Whedon joke.
Yeah, it felt. Yeah, honestly, I can get behind that. It felt sort of like a teenage girl comment too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, can you put a shirt on? Oh my god. You know what I mean? Like, kind of just little Mean Girls, kind of whackish. All right, let's talk about Snoke. Let's just get into it, guys. We've been saving. Unless you have something else. You want to talk about something else before we go into it?
No, Snoke's actually my good. I loved everything about Snoke. He is the best character in Star Wars to date.
Oh my God. Okay, so that's sarcasm for all of you watching. Look, the Snoke thing is incredibly disappointing to me in many different ways. Now, I have to explain this. I think the tendency for people, and some of what like my friends said yesterday was they were like, "Well, dude, you know, your Snoke theories are really popular on YouTube. That's why you don't like his ending, because you just don't like your theories being wrong or insignificant." And that's not necessarily the case. The truth is, I feel simply from a story perspective, the guy you barely show in the first movie and yet is so powerful that he builds this First Order up. I mean, like, guys, you have to understand, like, the First Order had nothing. The Empire was beaten. How did this happen? How did we get here? And then you literally just cut him in half in the middle of your second movie? That's not bold. That's irresponsible. Like, that's irresponsible treatment of a villain. I mean, how can that make sense? So let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think about Snoke and his ending? Very interested to hear what you guys say. We got a lot of people in here. I'm trying to get some comments to read, but I apologize if I miss it. James, talk to me about Snoke.
Your Snoke theory sucks, Ryan Johnson. I think it was weird watching it because I thought that he was going to kick the bucket in this one when we did our amazing live stream. And I also thought I think like a month ago on the Rebel Scum podcast, I mentioned it because there's just something in the back of my mind that said, I can't see this character making it past this one because he's such an inconsequential character. It's like, It's like he's just there because they need him.
Before I leave it, I want to just read what Jennifer says here because this is a very good point. She says, I love everything with Snoke until Kylo killed him so easily. I was so excited about how scary and powerful he was, and then nothing. And that's like the perfect way to say it. That's the problem. The scenes leading up to that, he's incredible. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, and what sucks is they show him so powerful, and you're like, oh, what's with this guy? Because he's very powerful. He has Force lightning, which we've only seen once before. And you're like, okay, so he's really powerful. It didn't even seem like it came from his hand. It seemed like he was able to, like, I have to watch it again, but like when he flicked him, it looked like the lightning came from the ground. I was very surprised by that, yeah. Yeah, it's like, so you've made this guy. I don't have a problem with him dying because of his lack of screen time in The Force Awakens. If he's in The Force Awakens, he shows up in this one, talks, Kylo kills him. Cool. But what happens is, he's in The Force Awakens for 3 seconds. He's in this one, scary, intimidating. Then all of a sudden, you see him with his super Force powers, and then he just dies. And it's kind of like, well, what? Like, does... And you know how I feel. I feel that you don't need like a backstory for the Emperor necessarily. Right. You don't need a backstory for Snoke. But when you kill him like this, and you plant the seeds of Leia in The Force Awakens saying Snoke is the one that corrupted Ben, and now you have Luke saying it was too late, Snoke already got him, and then you kill Snoke 10 minutes later.
Why would he say that? I don't understand why Luke said that. Like, there's so many holes that need filled in here. I knew Snoke had gotten to him. Bro, he's at your temple. You're under your tutelage. So
you have to imagine that Snoke is something that was either there or is powerful enough to have gotten there.
Yeah, it's so weird. I think what Jen said is so on point because had they not given us all those dope scenes, like, dude, I really, really enjoyed all the Snoke scenes up to that. Even on the hologram when he's whipping Hux around, I'm like, oh, what a show of power. He's so strong. And he says some really cool stuff. He seems so insightful, such like a well of dark side knowledge. Him playing Kylo Ren so perfectly, I was like, oh my god, this is so awesome. And then for all of that to just end so abruptly. And by the way, I actually really like the scene. I just feel like it should have happened in 9. You know what I mean? Like, I love the scene of Kylo, and I was telling Brian this earlier when we were chatting. I said, it's very comic book righty, where like he's calling out what he's reading in his mind as he's doing it. It's the other lightsaber. It's not the crossguard. Boom, he's cut in half. That's interesting. Like that's legitimately pretty good writing. The problem is the timing and the payoff. Like the payoff to it is so it's bold, but in a way that was like, straight up. You have to decide, how do you feel about it? You feel like this or that, and if it's yes or no, I have to say no. Like I did not like it. I thought it was perhaps the biggest gripe I had with the movie.
It's bold if we know more about Snoke. If we know how he was able to corrupt Ben Solo, then you could be like, oh, that was bold. They killed him off right away, and he's this powerful, blah blah blah. But now it's like we don't have a full character, and you kill him off, and it's like, well, I don't care.
Yeah. Yep. Very, very interesting. Okay, so that was the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's talk just briefly. This is the time where you guys have just kind of random questions. Hit us up with some questions. We'll try to answer them at the end of the show. We're going to wrap this up in probably the next 15, 20 minutes. Let's talk about Yoda. We're going to talk about good stuff now. Yoda. Oh my God, I loved it. I loved Yoda. I loved all the moments. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I think they used both puppets, the one from Phantom Menace and the old Empire puppet. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I don't. Was he CG at the beginning?
No, that was the puppet from Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace. Yeah, it was. I thought, I really liked Yoda, but when he turned his head and we saw the back of his head, I was like, he looks like a Muppet.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was great to see Yoda.
Oh no, Jen hated Yoda. Well, no, not hated him, but she looked cartoony. That's kind of what you were saying too.
Yeah, he did feel cartoony. But whatever. It's Yoda. It was nice to see him interact with Luke. It was nice to see Luke when Luke said Master Yoda. It was like, that's the Luke I remember from my childhood. It was nice to go back to that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved it, and Frank Oz was so funny. We knew sort of about this a while ago because he was cornered in an interview and gave the worst non-answer ever. Those answers where you should just say no, and instead you say, "It breaks my heart to not be able to tell the community a thing about me puppeteering your Yoda." And you're like, bro, you just said yes. You know what I mean? So we kind of knew that was going to... It still caught me by surprise. I loved it. It was so funny. Page turners, they were not, is probably my favorite line from the movie. And I love, too, by the way, Yoda knew Rey had the books. So when Yoda says, I know somebody in the chat earlier mentioned this, she has everything she needs already. Yoda knew she had the books. She took the books. And so
I actually didn't notice the books in the theater because I think I was drinking my beer at the time. And because I didn't see them. There's a part of the Millennium Falcon that I didn't even watch. So Brock caught it, though, luckily.
Yep, the books were in there, and I love how Yoda does the lightning with his finger as a Force ghost. A whole new Force world is opened up to us because of Yoda, which I thought was really, really cool. Let's see here. What do you think of the fight scene, Rey and Luke, as well as Kylo and Rey? The fight scene with Luke and Rey, I thought was actually pretty cool. It's very like, I'm really proficient at this, I'm barely trying. You can't touch me. I love how he caught himself with the Force, too. The Kylo and Rey scene, I need to see it again. My first reaction to it, to be honest, was like, that choreography's not that great. I was like, that choreography was not that great. The camera choreography was not that great. I didn't get a good sense of scope, what was actually happening.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool moments in it, but super underwhelmed by that fight. Now, emotionally, what's happening there, I think, works. But the fight itself, I didn't think. So what do you think about those two fights?
The lightsaber one was not up there with the prequel, any of the prequel ones for me, personally. The Luke and Rey one was fun. It was fun to watch. It was, it was what I thought we would get more of on Actual. Not that I'm complaining about it, because look, we got what we got. That's what it is, right? So, but I was expecting that the Kylo and Rey one, I was expecting something more and a little bit. I kind of wish instead of having those chain things, they just had freaking swords.
Right.
It was just all sword fights. I love the way Kylo off the last one, and the way that ended up playing out was fantastic.
Right. Oh, Jen brings up a good thing. What did you think about Maz's scene in the movie, the Battlefront 2 Maz?
I wish he was like that in Battlefront 2.
Right.
Yeah, it was they. I knew she was. I read somewhere like 3 or 4 months ago or something like that she was the one that tells them that they need to get DJ or Slicer.
Yeah.
But I thought that it was that they met up with her somewhere. It was the whole thing on the ship is kind of weird. It's like we're being tracked, but we're going to communicate with everyone outside because even though they'll be able to read it.
Yeah, it
And
feels
then,
like a really weird plot device to use. Where you know what I mean?
yeah,
Where
but
you're like, they're like that. Just feels as a writer, I'd be like, no, we gotta abandon that.
but was he was like, you need to put Maz Kanat in like, and then they're like, okay, we're going to escape on this ship. And it's like, but at that point, they don't know that they're only tracking the big ships. So wouldn't like, I was like, what, that is a dumb plan.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot going on overall, guys. Like I like that this is the movie we got. I'm still trying to decide how I feel about it. There's a lot of stuff that I thought was great. Like the Luke Skywalker's ending, I think is amazing. The end of that film with Canto Bight, where he's fighting, everything that happened in that scene was, I thought, incredible. As a Luke Skywalker fan, I felt satisfied. I was a little bitter that he didn't use the green, other than trying to kill Kylo. Can we talk about that for a second? What do you think about that? For the briefest of moments, Luke Skywalker wanted to kill Kylo Ren.
Well, the dark side flows in him regardless. I think I had no issue with it, except for the fact that this is the type of thing where you're kind of like, I wish we got movies that took place in between so we could see where Luke's head is at, where his headspace is at. Like, did he get too cocky? Because it sounds like a lot went on and he was like figuring it all out.
Right.
Yeah, like he would kill his own nephew because he saw his future, but always in motion the future is. They needed I think what happened was J.J. Abrams set this up, and he goes, okay, go play with it. And Rian Johnson's like, well, I've got to put a Moscow in this. I've got to blow up a temple. I've got to do this. And it was just like, this is what I've come up with. They're like, okay. And they went with it. And, I mean, it makes sense that that's why Ben would turn, because his uncle tried to kill him.
Yeah. I mean, it's a weird thing. I'd love an explanation that was actually Snoke, putting some kind of a thought into Luke's head. I also think it's interesting because, man, if we see what I think we're going to see in 9, which is a very brutal, like, Renperor, to quote Ian, I think Luke, if Luke saw that, like if Luke looked into his future and saw what I think we're going to see in 9, then it makes a little more sense, where his just gut instinct was like, kill him. And I like that moment is so, like, weird, right? A second later, if Ben wakes up a second later, there's no Kylo Ren. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much that sort of happens there. And it's very, very interesting. But that's going to do it for us, guys. This was The Last Jedi breakdown. The good, the bad, the ugly. We had an overwhelming amount of people in this chat.
That was amazing.
Which was very cool. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for participating. I know this man is going to be doing a ton of content about The Last Jedi and Star Wars as we move forward. James, am I wrong? And where can people find your stuff?
Totally wrong.
Yep. He's hanging
We're
it
going to
up.
do Star Trek. We're going to, you can find us at the Rebel Scum Podcast, youtube.com/Rebel Scum Podcast. Find me at Petspina. But yeah, so tomorrow we're going to do, we have 2 other guys, Andrew and Rob, on our channel. They're going to do their review tomorrow night, I think, on the channel. I think we'll take Sunday off, and then Monday do some more fun stuff. Like, what's the deal with Rey? What's up with Rey? Who's that girl?
Yeah, who's Rey and who is Snoke? 2 answers we still have and no idea about. But honestly, one of them doesn't matter anymore.
Do you think Snoke can come back? And do you think that was not the truth about Rey's lineage?
Oh my God! My gut tells me Snoke will not come back, and that is the truth about Rey's lineage. Could Snoke come back? Hell yeah! They cut freaking Darth Maul in half, and he came back and actually had an awesome arc. But I just feel like, honestly, if they do that again, not going to be down. Not going to be down. The truth is, we still need to learn a lot about Snoke. There's a lot, there's probably going to be a book and stuff. There's still plenty of content to make about Snoke. It just is not it's not going to have the same oomph now that he's gone. You know what I mean?
What if he is still your theory was the fallen will, and when he died, he's now just here?
Yeah, he could be into the cosmic force for sure. Although there's some other stuff, like, for instance, that ring is not Kyber. That's made from obsidian from underneath Darth Vader's castle. So there's some stuff that's come out from the art book and stuff that sort of maybe claims that Snoke was just some kind of weird, powerful guy and maybe not a will. But I still like that theory. I still think there's a place for the wills in Star Wars. But that was just so brushed over. You know, we get like one line of Luke saying like, you know, at the height of their power, they allowed Sidious to corrupt them, overtake them, and all that. And that was great, but I wanted like a whole movie of that. Like, sit us down, erase the side of the chalkboard, Luke Skywalker. Tell us what happened from your point of view. That would have been really cool. But anyways, yeah, go check out the Rebel Scum podcast. That's where this guy, I guess I gotta go that way. This guy does all his content, a lot of cool stuff. I'm over there. Guys, the Den of Nerds YouTube channel, we went over 10,000 subscribers earlier today, and I just can't thank you guys enough. It's crazy. Thank you guys so much for the support. You're an amazing community. A lot of you watching this are probably not subscribers on the YouTube channel. Go subscribe. I'm going to be doing so many videos in depth about Star Wars now. The first video I'm writing is literally called What the Last Jedi Changed About the Force. New canon Force Powers Explained. And I can't wait to go in depth on that. So go check that out maybe later today.
Congratulations on 10,000, dude.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, it was weird. I didn't expect it to happen by the end of the year. It happened. I'm pretty happy. Next year's going to be big, too. Once again, James, thank you, man. It's been awesome doing these live streams with you. I'm sure we'll do many, many more in 2018. Guys, that's all for us. Thank you. May the Force be with you guys always. And I hit the wrong button, so I'm going to say again, may the Force be with you always. All right.